Welcome to Tales from the Trenches Tuesdays. Today it is my honor to have my good friend Cuckoo Kochar with me. Just a little bit about Cuckoo. He's the president and founder of Phoenix Homes. Cuckoo arrived in Canada in 1972, holding an honors degree in engineering from the Birla Institute of Technology and Science in India. After earning a master's in engineering from Concordia University, he began his career as a project designer and site engineer in Quebec on projects such as the hydraulics at Mirabel Airport and Matagami Access Road for the James Bay Project. In 1977, following a move to Ottawa, Cuckoo began working for the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation as a project manager. By 1984, he was promoted to the position of general manager of their land management group. Cuckoo then formed the Phoenix Group in 1998, recognizing the potential for development in Ottawa and seeing a niche for a developer catering to small builders. Cuckoo's vast contribution to the development industry was acknowledged in 1995 by Prime Minister Jean Chrétien. Mr. Chrétien appointed Cuckoo to the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation's Board of Directors, a position he held for 7 years. In addition to a successful career in engineering and business, Cuckoo has many community involvements, such as over $1 million scholarship program at Carleton University, donating $250,000 to the Cancer Institute of the General Hospital, and organizing many fundraising events. Cuckoo has been recognized by the Association of Fundraising Professionals in Ottawa as the Outstanding Individual Philanthropist for 2017. I am so glad to call him a friend. Cuckoo, you and I have known each other for about 20 years, and I really appreciate the time that we spent together. You've been generous in spirit as well as in the pocketbook, opening your home for events and supporting various nonprofits. So I just wanted to start by thanking you so very much. But I think our time would really be best used if we delved into some of the similarities and differences between fundraising in North America and fundraising in India. I read that in India, there's something called the Companies Act, which mandates corporations to spend 2% of their net profit for public good. I also read that India has 2.2 million nonprofit organizations, while Canada has about 90,000. But if you take that number as a proportion of the population, actually Canada has more nonprofits proportionately. So talk to me about fundraising in India as you know it.
So that is one of the reasons you just pointed out why the government had mandated it. As companies were reluctant at one time because of the tax laws. Companies could not write off or at least write down the funds they were donating to charities. So that's when the act came, and it officially not only allowed companies to write off, but also to almost mandate all public companies. So not private companies. Private companies still have the option, but publicly traded companies certainly have to do that. They have a choice. They can go to any charity as long as they are registered charities and they are basically doing work for the good of the poor people.
Right.
But aside from companies donating money, there's a very large element of the general population in India that also gives in their own way. And I'll tell you why. Several reasons. One of them is 80% of the population there follow the Hindu religion. And our religion requires people to give back a certain percentage of their income in charity of whatever kind. It's called sharing with the people, sharing with your brothers, sharing with your sisters. So a lot of people do that, and they do it anonymously, and that's the interesting thing. I'll give you a good example of that. Whenever I used to go there and visit India and my relatives in the winter time, you will see a lot of people sleeping on the streets.
Right.
And in winter, it does get a little chilly. I mean, especially in cities like Delhi, it can go as low as 0 degrees in the winter time at night. So you would see, and what we would do is myself and my wife, we would buy blankets 200 at a time, and then
Wow.
go and park the car, and then, we would spread the blankets or put the blankets over these people that are sleeping on
Right.
the. So that's not uncommon. That's
Mm.
quite often by the people in India. Also, when you go to a restaurant or a hotel, or you see people lining outside waiting for restaurant to throw away the leftover foods. So a lot of people, what they do, I know I've done it several times, is to simply say to the restaurant owner, see all of those people there, feed them whatever they want, and add it to my bill. So that's
Right.
very common as well. Again, it's that consideration that one must share.
Right. Right.
This is for the common person. Now, having said that, donations from common people or everyday people is purely voluntary. I have not yet seen drives. For example, when you have a hospital expansion in the Western world, there's a concerted drive to raise funds,
Right.
not only companies but also individuals.
Mhm.
I have not seen that in India so far.
Ah.
It's either public companies that actually donate a percentage, or it's individuals giving, anonymously. I have not seen that kind of fundraising that we have in the Western countries. And I
So
think,
how do they build hospitals and things like that? If they have a new hospital to be built.
yeah, mostly it's either a government hospital built with 100% government funds, or they are private hospital. We don't have a government scheme for
Right.
healthcare. The government hospitals and government healthcare is only for the very poor people that just can't afford it.
Right.
Private hospitals are available to the people that are well off, and they pay for it cash. Whenever you need to go to a hospital, you go there and you pay for cash. And these
Right.
private hospitals are financed and built privately with private money.
Wow.
I have yet to see one government hospital being built by donations. It just doesn't happen. And
Mm.
they just don't seem to follow that system we have in the Western world, where people come together to build a hospital in the community to help the government supplement their capital that the government is providing. So we don't seem to have that system here. One
Is there any sort of donor recognition then in India? Do they have the, Kochar, whatever it is, scholarship fund in India, or is that everyone does things anonymously?
So that is one of the issues. There's a lot of debate on that, and they are starting to do it. Private hospitals, private universities, and private colleges are now starting to do it, where they would have a wall of honor or whatever it is when you enter the
Right.
institute. You would see a plaque, donate. Certain funds were donated by certain families, and this
Right.
recognition, I think, is long overdue, but it's starting to happen. And it is attracting people that go beyond being anonymous. They would actually do this for another reason, not so much for their own personal recognition, but to encourage
Right.
other families, other people to continue this donation. I think that's a great idea, and it's catching steam now. It's happening more and more and more.
Right. Right. In India, there's such a disparity of wealth. There's the obviously there's the upper class, and then there's, the folks that you were just talking about that are literally sleeping on the streets.
Yeah.
So there's a huge divide. But does the average Indian person donate if they're able to, or is it only for kind of the folks that are in the top class?
So there is a growing middle class now, which is about 350 to 400 million out of the 1.4 billion. That is considered middle class by, let's say, world standards, I would say, or at
Right.
least by the Eastern standards. These people are starting to donate, and they are beginning to understand the value of donation and the value of recognition and the value of sharing. So it's very small. It's a very small percentage, and it may only be less than 1% of their salaries or whatever it is that they earn, their revenues, but it's starting to happen. And I'm seeing it more and more. When I go into these institutes, especially the government-funded hospitals for the poor, I'm starting to see that happen. And it's very recent. and I'm glad it's happening because this new middle class, if you like, just started in their late 90s, 98, 99, after the government opened up its investment schemes, if you like. And in the 2000s, it accelerated as the people's wealth grew and this amount of middle class grew. They have been now tending to do more and more of that. However, it is not volunteered. It is something where the hospitals actually are starting now, the private hospitals first, and now the government are just starting to happen, where they are actually offering these framework to, if you donate so much, we would then do this and this and this for you and your family. Not just a plaque, but also if you have an issue or your family has an issue, we would treat them first, or we would treat them special, whatever it is the word is to be used. So it is providing some incentives, and families are starting to do that. I mean, not only the very rich families, but also there are middle class families are starting to do this. So it's happening.
And those folks would receive some sort of a tax break by donating, yes?
Well, that's not happening. That's the problem. It's not there yet, because it's, even though the tax breaks are there for the companies, especially those that are publicly traded, for individuals, they are not there yet. And the problem lies in identifying very clearly what is a for-profit organization. Like private hospitals are all for profit. So if you write a check to them, should it be deductible? No, because these are for profit. Government hospitals, yes, you can do it. There are ways to do it, but not otherwise. And that's one of the reasons people give anonymously. They're not going to get any tax breaks anyway, so they might as well do it anonymously. But that is an issue that's been debated. And again, the government is just reluctant to allow that to happen for for-profit organizations.
Cuckoo, this has been an absolutely amazing discussion. You know, every time I chat with you, I always find it so relaxed and so easy. You know, even when I was asking you for financial support, you know, if the meeting was an hour long, the ask for financial support was about 17 seconds. You know, the rest of it, we were just catching up on whatever, you know, your latest trip to India, or I know that you went to Israel, or, you know, in Florida, whatever the case may be. So I really thank you for helping out with this initiative.
You're welcome, Jack, and I welcome any in the future. If you want to talk to me at any time, you're welcome in my office. And you continue to do the great work for humanity you're doing. I mean, I really appreciate your work, your efforts to raise the idea of philanthropy in our society. This is so important to all of us, and of course to people that are less privileged than us.
Yeah,
we have to continue to have the services of someone like you. So thank you so much for doing it.
Well, thank you, Cuckoo.
Hi, folks. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button right here.